Have you ever wondered where the next big source of American energy might come from? Have you considered Alaska? Alaska, the largest state in the U.S., is more than just a land of breathtaking landscapes and awe-inspiring wildlife. It's also a land of vast, untapped potential in the form of oil and natural gas reserves. But why Alaska, you may ask? Well, the answer lies in the current energy crisis. As the energy demand escalates worldwide, the need for alternative and reliable sources of energy has never been more pressing. With the recent political tension and the consequent drop in oil imports from Russia, the United States and Europe are facing an energy security crisis. This crisis has forced them to cast their eyes to the north, to the icy terrains of Alaska. Here lies the controversial Willow Project, seen as a potential game changer for energy independence, though it is not without its critics. Alaska, though remote and undeveloped, holds a wealth of natural resources. It's like the sleeping giant of the American energy landscape. You see, while basins like the Permian in Texas are indeed important, the true gem is nestled in northern Alaska. The National Petroleum Reserve here could potentially bolster U.S. oil production by an impressive 200,000 barrels per day. Such an expansion is now seen as crucial, particularly as Russian imports have become politically unviable. The Willow Project, nestled in the heart of the Alaskan National Petroleum Reserve, is more than just an oil extraction operation. It's a strategic move, a daring play in the complex game of global resource geopolitics. The project aims to extract vital resources almost under Russia's nose, a bold move indeed in these times of escalating global tensions. The potential local and global impact of the Willow Project is enormous. On one hand, it could economically invigorate Alaska, promising to create thousands of jobs and generate billions in revenue. On the other hand, the environmental costs are significant, raising serious questions about the U.S. commitment to climate change. Alaska, the final frontier for energy security, is waking up. The discovery of oil in Alaska dates back to the early 20th century. But it was not until 1968 that the true potential of this northern state was realized. Travel back in time to the early 1900s. The pulse of Alaska was not yet synchronized with the heartbeat of oil wells. The first oil discovery was made in Katala, a small town on the Gulf of Alaska. However, due to technical challenges and the remoteness of the location, the oil industry in Alaska remained relatively dormant for the next several decades. Fast forward to the 1950s, the post-war boom had created a voracious appetite for oil in America. The search for oil intensified, and the unexplored expanses of Alaska became the target. This led to the creation of the National Petroleum Reserve in Alaska, a vast tract of land set aside by the government for oil exploration and production. Then, in the late 1960s, came the game changer. Prudhoe Bay, a remote and icy outpost on the northern coast of Alaska, was about to be thrust into the spotlight. In 1968, oil companies struck black gold in the form of the largest oil field in North America. This discovery was a turning point, not just for Alaska, but for the United States as a whole. The Prudhoe Bay oil field was so enormous that it held approximately 13 billion barrels of oil. Its discovery marked the beginning of an oil boom that transformed Alaska's economy and helped the United States reduce its dependence on foreign oil. However, it wasn't all smooth sailing. The harsh Alaskan environment presented unique challenges in extracting and transporting the oil. The construction of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System in the 1970s was a testament to human ingenuity and persistence, overcoming a host of environmental and technical obstacles to bring Alaskan oil to market. And so began Alaska's oil boom, a boom that is set to continue with the Willow Project. The Willow Project is more than a mining operation. It's a strategic move in the complex geopolitics of resources. Now let's delve into the depths of this intriguing endeavor, shall we? Imagine a game of chess, where the board is our world, and the pieces are the various nations, each with their unique strengths and vulnerabilities. The Willow Project in this game is akin to a cunningly planned move, one that could potentially tip the scales in favor of the United States in the global energy landscape. Nestled in the heart of the Alaska National Petroleum Reserve, The Willow Project is a bold undertaking. Its location is not a mere coincidence. It's a statement that the United States is ready to extract vital resources, figuratively under Russia's nose, at a time when global tensions are on the rise. But why Alaska, you might ask? Well, it's no secret that Alaska is a treasure trove of natural resources. The Willow Project aims to tap into this untapped potential and boost the United States' energy independence. This is of paramount importance, especially in light of the recent political tussles that have made Russian oil imports increasingly unfeasible. Now, the Willow Project isn't just about strengthening the United States' energy security. It's about making a statement that the United States isn't afraid to venture into the harsh, unyielding Alaskan wilderness for the sake of energy independence. It's an audacious move that could potentially redefine the global energy dynamics. However, it's worth noting that every strategic move comes with its share of risks. The Willow Project is no exception. The harsh Alaskan climate and the environmental concerns pose significant challenges. But if successful, the rewards could be immense, not just for the United States, but for the global energy landscape as a whole. So there you have it. The Willow Project, a strategic move that could potentially alter the global energy dynamics. With Willow, Alaska could again change the game of global energy politics. And that, dear friends, is the power of strategic thinking. But every coin has two sides. The Willow Project, despite its economic benefits, brings with it significant environmental concerns. When we think of Alaska, images of unspoiled landscapes, towering glaciers, and diverse wildlife come to mind. But beneath this pristine beauty lies a potential ticking time bomb, the Willow Project. The project, while promising much-needed energy security, carries with it significant environmental risks. Let's delve into the potential environmental impact of the Willow Project. The most immediate concern is the possibility of oil spills. We've seen the catastrophic effects of oil spills before. The Deepwater Horizon disaster in the Gulf of Mexico, for instance, reminds us of the harm such incidents can inflict on marine ecosystems. In the event of a similar disaster in Alaska, the impact would be devastating. The Arctic ecosystem is particularly vulnerable, and recovery from such a spill would be slow and painstaking. But oil spills are just one piece of the puzzle. The Willow Project also poses a threat to local biodiversity. The region is home to an array of unique wildlife, including polar bears, seals, and countless bird species. These animals depend on the delicate balance of their environment to survive. Consider the polar bear, a symbol of the Arctic's wild beauty. The Willow Project could disrupt the bear's habitat, forcing them to travel greater distances for food and potentially bringing them into conflict with humans. Similarly, migratory birds could lose vital resting and feeding grounds, a blow that some species may not recover from. And then there's the issue of climate change. The burning of fossil fuels is a major contributor to global warming, and the Willow Project would only add to this. Extracting and burning the oil from willow could release millions of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, further accelerating the pace of climate change. So, as we consider the potential benefits of the Willow Project, we must also weigh these against the potential harm. Yes, the project could provide jobs and boost the economy. Yes, it could help ensure energy security, but at what cost? The environmental risks of the Willow Project are significant, and they underscore a broader issue. How do we balance our need for energy with our responsibility to protect the environment? How do we ensure a future where both our economies and our ecosystems can thrive? These are not easy questions to answer. The Willow Project serves as a stark reminder of the challenges we face as we strive for a sustainable future. As we make decisions about our energy future, we must consider not only the economic benefits, but also the environmental costs. And so, we return to the question we started with. Is the price of energy independence too high? The answer to that may depend on how we value our natural world and the legacy we wish to leave for future generations. So we must ask ourselves, is the price of energy independence too high? Alaska's isolation and limited infrastructure have long been barriers to its development. But could Willow change this? Let's delve into this thought-provoking question. From the get-go, it's essential to remember that Alaska is not just geographically remote. It's also infrastructurally isolated. A single primary railway and a handful of roads are the arteries that connect this vast body of land to the rest of the world. But with the advent of the Willow Project, this could all change. The Willow Project isn't just about extracting oil. It's also about transforming Alaska. If it comes to fruition, it could potentially stimulate infrastructure development in the state. More roads, more railways, more bridges could be built, ushering in a new era of connectivity. The sleeping giant could finally be integrated into the national economy, creating a ripple effect that could be felt far beyond its icy borders. However, every coin has two sides, and the Willow Project is no exception. While it promises economic growth and development, it also poses significant risks to Alaska's fragile ecosystems. The state is home to a unique biodiversity that has been preserved due to its isolation. The construction of infrastructure necessary for the Willow Project could disrupt these ecosystems, potentially causing irreversible damage. Imagine the pristine Alaskan wilderness, untouched and unspoiled, being replaced by roads, bridges, and oil drills. It's a picture that raises questions about the cost of progress. Are we willing to sacrifice nature for the sake of development? Or can we find a middle ground where both can coexist? The Willow Project is a metaphor for a larger global issue. It's a question of balance between economic growth and environmental conservation. It's a delicate dance that many countries are grappling with, and the outcome in Alaska could set a precedent for the rest of the world. The sleeping giant awakens, but at what cost to its natural beauty? It's a question we all need to ponder as we move forward in our pursuit of energy security and economic growth. The Willow Project reflects a global challenge, balancing economic growth with environmental stewardship. As we delve deeper into the 21st century, the quest for energy security has become a global game of chess. Each nation is making strategic moves, maneuvering its pieces toward a checkmate of economic prosperity. Yet there's a price to pay. Do we sacrifice the planet for a fleeting moment of victory? This is where the United States finds itself at a crossroads. The Willow Project, for all its strategic brilliance, raises questions about our commitment to the environment. It's not just an American dilemma, it's a global conundrum. Take a look at Asia, for instance. Led by an ever-growing China, the continent is forging ahead with its energy infrastructure expansion. Coal plants are sprouting up like mushrooms after a rainstorm, and oil and gas exploration is in full swing. The thirst for energy is unquenchable, driving an unprecedented pace of development. Yet this growth comes with a caveat. Unlike the United States, where the Willow Project has sparked intense debates around environmental impact, Asia's expansion seems to march on, largely unchecked. The same level of environmental scrutiny is noticeably absent. It's not that Asia is unaware of the environmental costs, it's a conscious choice. A choice rooted in the belief that economic growth can't wait, that it must precede environmental considerations. So what's the solution? How do we untangle this Gordian knot of economic growth and environmental stewardship? Can we strike a balance? The Willow Project is a microcosm of this global challenge. It's the embodiment of our struggle to navigate these murky waters. As we weigh the promise of jobs and revenue against the potential environmental fallout, the Willow Project forces us to confront the reality of our decisions. It's a stark reminder that every choice has consequences, and these consequences ripple out, touching every corner of our interconnected world. As we look to the future, the question remains, can we harness the power of Alaska without sacrificing the planet? This is the question that will define our age, and the answer will shape the world our children inherit. It's a challenge we must rise to for the sake of our planet and future generations. And it starts with us, right here, right now. As we've seen, Alaska's role in U.S. energy security is both promising and problematic. It's a vast, wild territory, virtually untouched and brimming with potential. The National Petroleum Reserve in northern Alaska is a jewel of untapped resources, offering a lifeline of up to 200,000 barrels of oil per day. The Willow Project, nestled in the heart of this reserve, could be the key to energy independence, a strategic move of geopolitical significance. Yet, it's not all about the oil. The Willow Project signifies more than just a mining operation. It's a testament to the intricate dance of resources, politics, and environmental stewardship. It's a mirror reflecting our global challenges, a paradox of economic competition and environmental responsibility. Alaska's isolation has been its shield, protecting it from the rampant development seen elsewhere. But with the Willow Project, this isolation could be broken. The promise of thousands of jobs and billions in revenue is enticing, but it comes with a price. The infrastructure needed to awaken this sleeping giant could potentially devastate its fragile ecosystems. And let's not forget the environmental cost. Potential oil spills, disruptions to local biodiversity, and questions about the U.S. commitment to climate change are all part of the equation. It's a delicate balance, a tightrope walk between progress and preservation. As we look to the east, we see Asia, led by China, expanding its energy infrastructure with less environmental scrutiny. The U.S. is faced with a similar dilemma, albeit with a different approach. Can we compete economically while leading globally in environmental stewardship? This is the question that the Willow Project encapsulates. So where does this leave us? Alaska, the sleeping giant of U.S. energy security, is stirring. We stand at a crossroads with the promise of energy independence on one hand and the potential for environmental devastation on the other. It's a complex issue, one that requires careful consideration and measured action. Alaska, the sleeping giant of U.S. energy security, is stirring, but only time will tell if the benefits outweigh the costs.